Ultimately, I ended up leaving there because of me and Steve. Me and Steve had different personalities. Steve wanted to be told what to do. He didn't want to think for himself, and I was much more a thinker for myself. And I ended up taking off, and that's when I did go to WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling, the Von Erich territory. And I remember the first night I drove in there, I showed up, I had like the smallest U-Haul that you can have. I had everything I owned in it. And things were so bad, like I say, you know, I left school to get in the business, and I pictured going back to school after a certain amount of time. But it got so bad I couldn't even afford to go back to school. I was driving used taxi cabs in Louisiana when I was working for Watts that had like 400,000 or 500,000 miles on them. It was just incredible. And I showed up at Texas. They knew that I was coming in to start television taping. That's where they did their TV, and somebody had mentioned, boy, he sure is a warrior. He's got a warrior thing about him or something like that. And I was a big boy. And then somebody came in, one of the other guys came in that wasn't on the spot show. He had a little puppy, a new puppy. And they were asking him what kind of dog it was. He says, a dingo. And somebody just, somebody that was, not quite sober yet said, it is Dingo Warrior, that'll work, we'll do that tonight. So that was the beginning of the Dingo Warrior thing.
The colorful and exciting and extraordinary muscle man, the Dingo Warrior.
They gave me a manager, Gary Hart, and they tried, to make me a heel, but I had such an all-American look. I started letting my hair grow out, and they saw a resemblance to Kerry in personality and stuff like that, that the fans there made the Dingo Warrior a fan favorite. They just didn't have any other choice. Texas is, as people say, is a really unique place. Once people get behind something down there, they're really loyal to it. And there's an old-time wrestler there, an old guy, Bronco Lubick, and he worked in the office there, a nice old guy. So he came up to me one night, getting ready to do TV down there. He said, I heard George Scott on the phone today. He said, the WWE offices called him. They were talking, he was talking to them. He said, there's some kid down here, he's got this, he's raw, but he could be big, huge talent. He said, I know they were talking about you. I know they were talking about you. He said, if you say anything, I said, I'll deny it. I'll deny it. A couple days later, I got a phone call, and WWE was running a show down in Tyler, Texas. And they asked me if I wanted to come down there and just work the show so the agents could get back to them. And I went down there, and we went to Tyler once every couple months, and they were big, huge fans of WCCW. And they came out, and the place just went crazy. And a couple days later, I got a phone call to come up to Indianapolis, Indiana, that they were having a TV taping up there. So they put me, the first night in Indianapolis, they put me in a dark match against Jose Estrada. Next thing I knew, I had a big stack of airplane tickets, and I was on the road. I don't think I went home for like 43 days. So the character just got more popular, got in a program with Ray Hernandez, Hercules. There's such a nostalgia for those characters from back then. It's because those characters were allowed to create themselves. Whatever the character was in the ring was just an amped up version of who that character was outside the ring. And just kept learning, being on the road, and all these simple life lessons that you can find out about from other successful people, to constantly practice. Going out in front of a live crowd every night was practice. And I had some great people to learn from. Once I got to a certain level, then I wasn't an outsider anymore. I was part of the crew, and everybody understood that they're taking care of this kid and they're going to turn him into something. We were in Rochester, New York, and so the agent came up and said, you're going to work a match with Harley Race. And I remember he always used to do a thing where he chopped his opponent, and the guy would take a big bump over the top rope down onto the floor. Gave me the chop, I took the bump, and something snapped in my ankle. Made it through the match and stuff, and it just got swole, and it swole, and swole, and it got infected. And Eventually it got so infected, my whole lower leg was as big as my thigh. I kept it concealed, and I used to go off into closets or find some secret place or off place in buildings at night and suck the pus and stuff out of it, you know, because I didn't want to let him know. It was the first push I was getting, and I didn't want to let him know I was injured. And Arnold Skolin one night was walking the hallways down where I was, and he happened to, you know, stumble on me, and I was doing it. He said, "Kid, what are you doing? God damn it." I had a big, huge staph infection and stuff, but I was afraid that I wouldn't get a push, you know, if I let him know that I was hurt. I'd broken my ankle, and but I worked with Harley. Harley was one of the old school guys, but he wasn't bitter or angry about the way the business was changing. A lot of the guys just enjoyed being in the business so much that they, whatever role they could play, they were happy with that. There were a lot of veterans at that particular time, because I mean, we're talking about a time in the business where it was definitely changing a lot. It was becoming entertainment. It wasn't wrestling anymore. I started upgrading the character then. More colors, more paint, also my body. I was wanted to be a professional bodybuilder anyway. I had all this knowledge of nutrition and physiology of the body through my chiropractic education, so I started putting that to use, and also become more of a character, like a comic book character that just walked off the pages. It just got better and better and better and more comfortable, and I got better and better and better and more tuned in to what Ultimate Warrior was as a character and would be for the people. His jargon, I constantly kept notes all the time while I was traveling about what I was going to say, what I was going to do, how I was going to tie things in. If I was working with a particular character, what their unique characteristics were and how I could tie those into mine in battling back against them. The gimmick matches were always great. They were always a lot of fun. And whenever you saw a gimmick match like the Weasel match with Bobby, Bobby was always up. He was always in a good mood or a good attitude about going out and having fun and having a good show.
The Ultimate Warrior has the Weasel suit in his hand.
That's what you need before you go out there in front of people. You need that. You need a partner that's going to give that back to you. And he's so freaking animated and stuff. I gotta be, you know, to be honest with you, now when I think back all these years later, you know, me being older, not old, to think that he was my age then, maybe a few years younger, and contorting his body and throwing it around like he did and taking those goofy kind of bumps and stuff, that says quite a bit. So yeah, Bobby was always good for a good bump, and that's what managers you use them for. I mean, Honky Tonk had the belt for a long time, and there's always storytelling going on behind the scenes, rumors and gossip and stuff like that. You know, I never really stuck my nose in any of that stuff. I just focused really on just what I could give to my character, how I could make it more popular, how with the travel schedule I had, how I could get in the gym and really still kick ass in the gym and make my body better, where I could get my next clean, healthy meal. What kind of ideas I could come up with for promos next time I got to television. Everybody there was happy that I was going to get a chance to run with the Intercontinental strap. They thought it was a good thing. You know, they go out there and they make their money by how many tickets get sold, and they knew people were getting behind the Ultimate Warrior character. But it was neat how they set it up, and Honky Tonk was the perfect character for it. But I remember what it felt like, man. It was really awesome for that to happen. It was the right time.